Well, good morning, church. We're going to be looking at the fourth discussion question, which says, what do you think Jesus means by the statement, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak? And so to get there, I actually want to read the two verses you see that happen in. You see it in the second one anyway. So we're going to look at Matthew 26, verses 40 and 41, where it says, Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping. He asked Peter, so you couldn't stay awake with me 1 hour? Stay awake and pray so that you won't enter into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Now, there's a lot you can take in from just those couple verses, but what I'm going to focus on is, what is Jesus meaning? Well, you see, Peter and all the disciples for that matter, it's not like Jesus hadn't mentioned or told them some things to point them to what was about to happen. They had been given some hints on everything going on, and he had flat out said it in some cases, and they just didn't totally understand yet. Now, obviously, we know they got it eventually, but not right when Jesus told them. And so here what we see is the disciples missing it and not totally understanding what's going on. But I think we see them trying to do things under their own power. They're just trying to do things based on their understanding, not trying to trust in what God's telling them to do. And they're just trying to work under their own power. And you see that even when Peter tries to respond a little too late when the betrayal happens, and you see the soldiers there in the garden with them, and he pulls his own sword and tries to handle it with violence. What we really see here is the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. We can't do things on our own power. I think that we try so often to grab any form of control we can, and we fall short. Like Pastor Bob said in his message, Peter really, this is not the highlight of his life. I think he would admit that there was a lot of shortcomings you see here. You see him falling asleep when Jesus is telling him to watch and pray. He's falling asleep at the wheel here. And then literally hours later is when he denies Jesus 3 times after Jesus told him, you're going to deny me 3 times. Jesus even told him he was going to do it. And he said, no, there's no way I would do that. And the next thing he knows, he does just that. And then hears the rooster crow and realizes Jesus was right. I betrayed him in that way. Now, we know Peter goes on to be restored and redeemed and clings to Jesus after the resurrection. But I think too often we fall into the same trap. We try to do things in our own power. We think, I got this. God can focus somewhere else that really needs him, but I can handle this. When we need to come to the realization, God needs to do everything through us. We need to be allowing the Holy Spirit to work through us every second of our lives, not just in certain instances, but every activity we're doing, even seemingly pointless ones. We need the Holy Spirit to be empowering us to live out the gospel. And so my hope and prayer is that we wouldn't be like Peter that night, that we'd learn from what happens in his life, that maybe we'd look at our own lives and realize, I've been like Peter too often. I need to make sure I'm not trying to do things in my own power, that I'm clinging to God and who he is and allowing him to work through me. We'll see you again soon.